Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I am going over the 2022 governor's map and doing my first kind of in-depth analysis on how I think each individual governor's race will go. So I'm going to get right into it because there's a lot of governor seats up in 2022, so this might take a while. So I'm going to start in the West Coast and work my way east. I have three options for this map. I have who I think the Republicans will win, the Democrats will win, and I have a battleground section for how I would put the races for now. And I'm going to just put them in battleground, and then I'm going to come back to them after I do the rest of the safe states, or safe or likely states anyway. So, start off in Oregon. Oregon's a state that is Democratic on the presidential and Senate level. However, the governor's races are actually closer than a lot of people might suspect. In 2018, it was actually a likely margin. In 2014, I believe it's either likely or very close to it. So I'm going to put Oregon in the likely column for now. It's going to be very, very competitive, but I do expect the Democrats to win it nonetheless. California is a state that the recall election, they're trying to get Gavin Newsom out, they being the Republicans, but it's looking like more and more that the polls show it's not going to be as close as a lot of people thought it might be initially. I think at the end of the day, Gavin Newsom finds a way to win by more than 15%, putting it in the safe column. The state of Hawaii, I'm not sure who the governor is going to be yet. I think, honestly, a name to watch that no one's talking about is maybe Tulsi Gabbard. She's not a representative anymore, so if she wants to run for the governor's seat, she very well could, and she honestly might win it if she decides to run, but I don't know. Keep an eye on that, but Hawaii, I think, would go safe Democrat no matter what. It's a very strong Democratic state. Alaska as well, the current Republican governor, I believe, is going to run again. Haven't heard an inclination of him not running again. He's not term limited. So I think he would run, and I think he would win in Alaska. He'd probably win safe. The state of Nevada, I'm going to put it in the battleground column. Nevada current governor Steve Sisolak won in 2018 against Adam Laxalt. There's a possibility we might see a rematch of those two, or possibly Adam Laxalt's going to run for Senate maybe. But I would expect him to run again. Adam Laxalt got the support of President Trump in 2018, so I definitely don't see Adam Laxalt going anywhere. He might run for Senate or governor. We'll see. I know the mayor of North Las Vegas, I believe, announced he was interested in running for governor. So whoever the Republican candidate is going to be, I think it's going to be pretty, very competitive and could be a very interesting race. So I'm going to put that in the battleground column for now. Governor of Idaho, Republican, will win safe. Not too much to talk about there. Wyoming, same thing. As long as it's not Liz Cheney, there really isn't too much to talk about in terms of Wyoming politics. South Dakota, Governor Kristi Noem, very, very close race last time. Only won by about 4 points or so, but she's also much more popular now as she's become much more of a national figure. She'll win here, probably safe, no problem. Nebraska. Again, I don't see too much of a competitive race going on here. Nebraska should be safe for the Republicans. Kansas will be close as the current Democratic governor, Laura Kelly, is going to be in a very, very tough re-election fight. I think this is going to be very, very close because she won last time around because Chris Kobach was a very, very bad Republican candidate. And she got 49%, I believe, so she got a plurality of the vote. However, she still did very, very well for Democrats. This is going to be a very close race. I'm going to put it in battleground for now. Oklahoma, I think Oklahoma will probably go safe for the Republicans. Not too much to talk about. Texas, I'm torn because Greg Abbott is a popular governor. And I think that he won't do anywhere near as bad as Ted Cruz did. So I'm not going to put it in battleground yet. I'm going to put it in likely. But Texas is a state that I'm not considering a battleground, but certainly could be as we get closer to election day. And how it's looking. The state of Colorado, I think the days of the Republican Party putting up strong candidates and having a potential shot at winning Colorado might be gone. I don't really see Colorado being too close. I'm going to put it in the likely column as well, the same as Oregon. I just think that the Republican Party, Colorado's a state they have really kind of left behind and haven't campaigned for too hard. And the Democrats have picked up the pieces and have pretty much statewide taken over that state in terms of politics. New Mexico's a state I'm also going to put in the likely column with Colorado. New Mexico, if they have the right candidate, can potentially, a Republican can win. I'm forgetting his name, but the guy who used to be a weatherman who ran for Senate, I believe it was either 2018 or 2020. I think it was 2020. He actually overperformed what I expected and what many others expected as well. If he decides to run again, this race could be potentially competitive, but I would still give any Democrat the edge in New Mexico. Arizona, I'm going to put in the battleground column. This is going to be one of the most well-watched states, both for Senate and governor in the entire country. The Democrats, Joe Biden won it in 2020, and they also won the Senate in 2018 and 2020. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep Arizona trending blue or if Republicans can fight back and win the state of Arizona. Arkansas, I expect that to be a safe win. I'm not sure if their current governor's... No, it is term limited, and I believe Sarah Huckabee Sanders is interested in running and either announced she is or is considering a run, but she should be pretty much strongly favored to win the general election. Just has to get through the primary, and yeah, she should win there, no problem. Tennessee, Phil Bredesen will not be running this time from all I know. I don't even think he can. I think he was term limited as a governor when he left. And that's about the only Democrat I know in the state. But yeah, Tennessee's going to go safe Republican, not too much of an issue there. Alabama, I believe the Republican governor is term limited, and regardless, though, Republicans will get a Republican governor back in the state of Alabama. Georgia, this is going to be one of the top battlegrounds, no question about it. It's going to be very, very close. This actually, next to Arizona, these two are the most watched states. I would probably say Georgia is the most watched, most contentious state for 2022. The state of Florida, I'm actually not going to put it in battleground. I'm going to put it in likely. I think Ron DeSantis has done such a great job being governor of Florida, and all the polling and approval rating data supports that and backs that up. There's a reason why, besides Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis is the strongest polling Republican for 2024. He's going to win re-election, and I think he's going to win it pretty big. By Florida standards, pretty big is anything more than like 2 or 3%. I could see Ron DeSantis winning here by 5 to 6% at least. All the polls show him up by 10% or so. I would expect his election day gets closer, those to narrow a little bit, but I think Ron DeSantis has got the state of Florida on lock for the 2022 midterms. The state of South Carolina, I don't know if Henry McMaster can run again, but I know that Republicans are going to win. There aren't too many strong Democrats. Maybe Jamie Harrison could run for the Democratic side, but I don't know if he would. But I do remember someone, it was either a congressman or a congresswoman, someone announced they were running. That was kind of a bigger name in the state, but I still don't think they're going to put up much of a fight in a red state like South Carolina. So I'd put South Carolina in the Republican column. The state of Virginia, this governor's race will actually be decided in 2021, as will New Jersey's. I think Republicans honestly lucked out having Glenn Youngkin as their nominee. Nothing to say against Amanda Chase, but Republicans in Virginia don't do good in general, but they do much better when they are not Trump Republicans or Trump-style Republicans. So I'm going to give Glenn Youngkin the benefit of the doubt and say he can do a little better than President Trump. He's going to end up losing this race. The Democrats are going to win. It's going to be Terry McAuliffe, I think, the former governor, so he's going to be very hard to beat. But it's going to be Terry McAuliffe beating Glenn Youngkin. I'm going to be generous and say by about 5 or 6 points. Maybe Glenn Youngkin makes Virginia a little closer and might bring it back to the 2012 margins of 3%. Maybe get a little closer to that. But I would still expect Virginia to go pretty blue. We'll have our first flip, Maryland. I don't think this is going to be too competitive at all. I'm actually going to put it in safe. Now that Larry Hogan is term limited, I don't really see a Republican, especially the lieutenant governor already announced he's not going to run. I don't see a Republican running that will be able to keep this state red. So I'm going to put Maryland in the blue column. The state of New Jersey, I'm also going to put in the blue column. I think that this is a state that it's also going to be up in 2021 that we probably won't see a Republican governor here for a while. Chris Christie might be the last Republican there for a long time. And I think the Democrats are going to win this state for another 4 years. I was going to do the Rust Belt, but I'm already on the East Coast. Why not? The state of Connecticut. Connecticut is an interesting state that always votes Democrat nationally, but for governors are always very, very competitive. Less than 1 or 2%. Current governor, I believe it's Ned Lamont, barely won last time. And it's possible the Republican who ran last time might do a rematch. If so, this race might get a little closer. I'm going to put it in the likely column for now because I don't know who the Republican challenger is. No one is announced yet. However, I expect that if it is a rematch of 2018, I'm going to bring this race down to lean pretty much instantly because Connecticut's a very interesting and very wacky state when it comes to governor's races. But I'll put Connecticut in the likely column for now. The state of Rhode Island, this is going to be a Democratic safe win. Regardless of who the nominee is, the Republican Party just doesn't have much of a presence in the state of Rhode Island. So Rhode Island will be a safe Democratic win. There's not too much to talk about there. My home state, Massachusetts, which I was actually shocked to learn last year, Massachusetts does not have term limits. I mean, I assume they did because Governor Deval Patrick only ran for 2 and Mitt Romney only ran for 1. That's because he wanted to run for president. But I didn't know there was no term limit. So all things considered, it's that Charlie Baker is thinking of running for re-election as governor. And I think if that is the case, I think Charlie Baker would win re-election, probably safe again. I mean, unless maybe Joe Kennedy III decides to run, I could see it maybe getting down to likely. I really don't think it gets too competitive. I think Charlie Baker has done a pretty decent job as governor of Massachusetts, and I think he would win re-election. If Charlie Baker decides not to run, then I expect you would probably see Joe Kennedy run. And then maybe on the Republican side, former 2018 nominee Jeff Deal will likely run for governor. He's been talking about that a little bit, so it's honestly, this race is more interesting if Charlie Baker doesn't run. If he does, I think he's pretty much got it as a win. If he doesn't run, then it gets a little bit more interesting. The state of Vermont, Phil Scott. Phil Scott, from what I've heard, is going back and forth on whether or not to run for re-election for governor. He has no interest in running for Senate. So this pretty much all depends on Phil Scott decides to run for re-election. If he does decide to run for re-election, I feel confident putting it either in safe or likely. If he does not decide to run for re-election, then for now I'd either put it in lean Democrat or as a toss-up. But I think Phil Scott, if he runs, it's Republican. If he doesn't, it's probably Democrat. So I'll put it in lean and either safe. I'll put in likely Republican for now as we await what his decision is going to be. New Hampshire, I'm going to put this in pure battleground. I've been saying since the get-go that I think Chris Sununu is going to run for the U.S. Senate in 2022. I think that this is the best pickup opportunity the Republicans have in 2022. I know everyone points to Georgia and saying, well, what about Raphael Warnock? I think that if Chris Sununu runs, I think he has a better shot at winning that race than any Republican does against Raphael Warnock in Georgia. Maggie Hassan was the former governor. She was popular at the time, but recent polls have come out that do show her popularity has taken a little bit of a hit. And Chris Sununu, who has pretty much driven the state forward through the COVID situation, Chris Sununu's popularity has only gone up. And it didn't really tank, but it went down a few points when the pandemic first started as expected. But he's been able to rebound that, and his approval has been steady. It's been high. And the state of New Hampshire really likes the name Sununu, so I think he runs for Senate, which leaves an open race for the governorship. There weren't many strong Democrats in 2020. That's because Sununu was on the ballot, and everyone knew Sununu was going to win. So in 2022, if it's an open primary, I think in the Republican side, I think Corey Lewandowski, Trump's former campaign manager, will be interested in running for governor. I think you might see someone like Kelly Ayotte, however you pronounce it. I'm also not sure how you correctly pronounce it, but either way, I think she would be interested in potentially running for that seat as a way of getting back into New Hampshire statewide politics. I believe she was the senator. I forget if she was the governor beforehand too or not. Either way, she might be interested in getting back into it. If not, the congressional nominee for District 1, Matt Mowers, he might be interested in potentially running for governor if it's an open field. On the Democratic side, Molly Kelly, who I think was the nominee in 2018, had a very close race against Chris Sununu, 52-45. Past candidates might decide to run. Maybe Chris Pappas, the representative from District 1, decides he wants to run for governor and step up. It's a possibility. But, I'm not too sure. But New Hampshire, if Sununu doesn't run, if he runs for Senate, I expect this race to become an instant toss-up. The state of Maine, Governor Janet Mills is being challenged by former Republican Governor Paul Lepage. I think that this race could potentially be close, but I'm going to start it off in the likely to maybe lean column. I'm going to start it off in likely for now. I think that Paul Lepage, being the former governor, it certainly helps him. However, he also got elected at a time before Maine adopted ranked choice voting. So I think until the state of Maine abolishes ranked choice voting, I think it's very hard for any Republican to win when there's an incumbent Democrat. The only reason I think Susan Collins was able to win was because she was the incumbent and she got a lot of support from Democrats who voted for her in the past. I don't know if Paul Lepage would be able to get that same support in Maine that Susan Collins got. But I know a lot of people in Maine are upset with Janet Mills, but I still think she would probably win for now. This race could get close, but I would expect that Janet Mills would hold on. The state of New York, Andrew Cuomo, the embattled governor who, despite all the accusations and everything that went on with him, he's still holding on and still running for re-election. This race certainly could get close, but I think that, like California, it's such a Democratic state that it's really hard to imagine any Republican winning, whether it be Andrew Giuliani or Lee Zeldin. I think that New York still goes safer right now. Unless any polling data comes out that proves me otherwise, I expect New York to be safe blue. Speaking of safe blue, I think that J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, if he's the nominee, I fully expect him to win. I don't really see Illinois getting too competitive this time around. I think Mark Kirk winning the Senate in 2010 was a fluke. I don't think we'll ever see that from Illinois again in a long time. In 2014, we saw, I think his name was Bill Rauner, the Republican win. And, he served, was it 1 term? 2 terms? Might have been 2, 2014, 2018, 18. No, he only served 1. Yeah, so I don't think we'll see a Republican win Illinois for a pretty long time. Pritzker will get reelected. Republicans have 21, Democrats have 18. Next up, we have the state of... Actually, yeah, I'm going to do the state of Iowa. I think Iowa I'm going to put in the likely column for now. I think Iowa, despite the fact it's trending in the Republican direction, the governor's race could still be pretty close. However, I do think Iowa will go likely Republican at this time. Ohio, it depends on who the Democrats run. I think that the Democrats can get a strong candidate. They can make this pretty close because Mike DeWine is actually not incredibly popular, and a lot of early polling data shows a Republican challenger might fare better. So Ohio, I'm going to put in the likely columns now, but this is a race that can potentially get more competitive as time goes on, especially considering who the Republican nominee is. The state of Minnesota, I'm going to put in the likely column for now. Minnesota was a state that surprised me in 2020. I thought it would be more Republican-friendly than it was. However, it ended up being more Democratic turnout than I expected. It's going to be Governor Tim Walz going at whoever the Republican is. At first, I thought Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy, might be a strong Republican candidate. And then after the election, I don't know if his popularity at all has tanked after kind of everything he's been discussing. And I don't want to get into all that stuff too much, but if he decides to run, it'll definitely be a very intense race and a very media-grabbing race. So that'll be Minnesota's one to keep an eye on. Tim Pawlenty ran for the Republican governor in 2018. In the primary, he lost. If he decides to run again and is actually able to win the primary, he could be something or someone that makes it a little more competitive. The state of Wisconsin, to me, this is also a pure toss-up. I think Tony Evers, the governor, is certainly in trouble. I think whether you're a Republican or Democrat, Wisconsin's probably always going to be competitive in the governor's race. I think, I know Republican Governor Scott, or former Governor Scott Walker's not going to run. He's already announced that. But I did a video a few months ago about Reince Priebus, about he was potentially considering running. There's some pretty strong Republican representatives and former representative in the case of Sean Duffy who might consider running for governor. I think Wisconsin will be a very, very close race for the governor. The state of Michigan, I'm going to put Michigan. I'm torn between putting it in lean D or toss or battleground right now. I think that Gretchen Whitmer is definitely in a lot of trouble. And I think it was the former Detroit police chief, is either said he's running or is interested in running. And I think the problem with Michigan is they haven't been able to find too many strong Republican candidates. Like, I thought John James was going to be a much stronger candidate in 2020. I didn't think he did that bad, but a lot of people in the state Michigan GOP aren't too happy with him. And I think that Jim Craig, the police chief guy, I think that's his name, he'll be able to give Gretchen Whitmer a run for her money. So this is a race that could get closer. I'm going to err on the side of caution and put it in lean D for now. But this is a race I think that could definitely get closer. Lastly, the last state I haven't characterized yet, the state of Pennsylvania. I expect this state is going to be a pure battleground. Pennsylvania in 2022 is really going to be an interesting microcosm for how the country is voting. You have a Republican incumbent not running for re-election in the Senate, so that's an open race. You have a Democratic incumbent governor who can't run for re-election because of term limits, so this is an open race as well. I think that the Senate and the governor will be a very, very interesting case for where's Pennsylvania heading in the future. Pennsylvania has not had a Republican governor since I believe got elected in 2010, then got defeated in 2014. So this will be the Republicans' first real shot at getting it back. From what I've seen, Governor Tom Wolf, Pennsylvania, is very highly approved of. However, the Lieutenant Governor, John Fetterman, if you've been watching politics and videos like this, you'll know for a while that he's running for Senate in Pennsylvania against Connor Lamb, the Democrat, also. So the Lieutenant Governor is running for Senate, and we don't really know who the Democrat candidate for governor will be yet. The Attorney General, Josh Shapiro, is a name I keep seeing pop up, so he could be a very strong candidate for the Democrats as well. Not as strong as Fetterman or Connor Lamb, but a relatively well-known name statewide. Pennsylvania is going to be very, very close. For the Republican side, I know there's former Representative Lou Barletta, who ran for Senate in 2018 against Bob Casey. I think he lost by a pretty big margin. Not like stupid big, like 20 points or so, but I think it was like 58-42 or something like that. 57-43 or something. But I know it was pretty big. Bob Casey's very popular, but for Barletta to get that much support in a open race against a Democrat who is not named Casey in Pennsylvania, he may be able to fare a little better. Pennsylvania, I know a lot of people have been putting Pennsylvania as pretty much a sure Democratic lock in 2022 for Senate and governor. I'm going to say at least for governor, I'm not there yet. I think Sean Parnell is a strong Republican for Senate and Lou Barletta is a strong Republican for governor. I'm going to say, hold on a minute, Pennsylvania is going to be pretty close. So I think Republicans have 23 seats, Democrats have 20. So this is the battleground map I have with 7 battleground states. And I was going to fill them in, but the video is already about 22 minutes long, so I think I'm going to just leave them like this for now. Leave them in the battleground column. And what I'm going to do in the coming weeks, in the coming months, is I'm going to start making individual videos on like individual Senate races and governor races, like breaking down the Wisconsin governor's race, for instance. I did that for 2018, I did that for 2020, and you guys seem to like those videos and watch a lot of them, so I'm going to be doing that coming up. I also think because I broke down every one of these races, this video is going to go on to like 30 minutes long, and I don't want, if you're still watching to this point, thank you, but I don't want to make you have to watch any longer. It'd be kind of unfair to ask. So I'm going to stop the video around here, but look out for videos in the coming days and weeks of me going over these individual races in the House, in the Senate, and governor. So that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell icon so you get notified when I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.